Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On my last episode, I was talking about how I got the chance to come down and work on my trees. Well, not work on them, but look at them and check them out every single day. And you have to be careful to check those wires on the trees so you don't get any, cut-ins and you don't have any of those indents into your branching, right? So today, I wanted to rearrange my room just a little bit. I had a specific task in mind. I was going to take some slates that I have, that I use on my benches in the summertime, and I was going to put them underneath my kind of boot trays and my little plant trays that are kind of wobbly, and they're on wood, and they, they kind of wobble a little bit. So I wanted to have my slates underneath the plant trays. That would lift them up a little bit closer to the light, and it would also provide some stability. And then I found out that I can actually do some work on one of my trees. Here's what's going on. So here's the slate that I put on. I put the one down below and I put this one up here. So I'm going to reenact what happened. I was moving some plants, getting them off this black kind of boot tray, plant tray. It's actually a boot tray. And I moved some plants down to the bottom. Got some of these heavy ones out. Moved them out of the way. This big rock one with my Christmas cactus wannabe in there. And then lo and behold, when I went to go remove my log turned into a pot, I lifted it up and look what I saw. So I brought in my plants into the plant room about 2 months ago. This is 8 weeks of root growth. Never let it be said that ficus don't like a little water. So the bottom of my boot trays is where the water sits from watering going through, and then it keeps the humidity high in the room. And look at that root growth going right through. There's even some roots coming here. Might be from this tree, might be from the little ones, but look at this root growth. We're going to do something about that today. Here we have one of those rare situations where I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repot here in the middle of November. Though I should wait until next summer. What am I going to do with all of these roots between now and next summer? I had a show recently where I talked about my ficus forest on top of the fish tank, and I put all those ficus from that great big square box into little bitty pots so those roots could really grab hold and establish themselves instead of going long and leggy and then not having more balanced growth, but maybe a twig or two that grows this way and this way. If I let this go all winter long and it curls in the bottom of my boot tray, who knows what it's going to do to the growth and pattern of this tree. So I'm going to put this one into a new pot. So I have to pick a new pot for this one, and then I have to consider what I'm going to put in this one. These brush cherry ficus, which I recently worked on in a different pot, are growing fine. I'm going to leave them alone. I'm not going to touch them right now. They're just going to stay there. But we will disrupt this side, and I have to either decide if I'm going to put another little tiny cutting in here, or if I go ahead and just leave these two in here. So we'll have to take a look at my inventory. Now most of my cuttings are either in the ficus forest or in some pots that are doing pretty good on their own. I don't really want to disturb them, but I think I might have one I can work with. But first we have to decide on a pot to have for this. So my first pot that I was thinking about, I have several, is I have a Sarah Rayner pot. That's a nice textured pot. It's a little bit deeper of a pot. And as far as the root mass, it would be fine in here. It's a deeper pot though. I don't mind that at the moment. I really like this Sarah Rayner pot. It has a lot of great character. But this might be better for more of a cascade, even a full cascade down the road, because it is that deeper pot, more of a cascade pot. So I don't know about that one. So we're going to put that aside and take a peek at a couple other ideas. Now I don't have enough wood to hold this one up here, so I'll just hold it up here. So I have this nice, I believe it's a Japanese pot, and good ceramic structure here. It's a decent size for it. If we look at the size of my canopy, the size of the pot, I like the depth of this pot, and so there we have maybe that is a possible pot. All right, not sure about the color on that one. I do have one with color that I was thinking about when I thought about repotting this one. Is I got this green one. And this one is just a stamped, it's made in Japan, but just kind of, off of the assembly line type. And so this one's another shallow pot, super shallow. It's kind of got this bluey turquoisey look here. I don't know if it really goes well with this branch color structure right now. This would be great with a maple tree with the colors maybe and the yellows of maybe my birch someday if I had a yellow birch that was smaller. Any of those yellow leaves. I don't know if that's going to look good here with this particular Watermelon Seed Ficus. I'm not sure on that blue color. But I like the size of that one. The size of that one's fantastic. I acquired a couple of these pots a while back, and they're white and also, again, very shallow. Get a nice radial root pattern here with the growth all going around the pot, not very deep. So I wonder about that guy right there. He might be a little too shallow, although it'll make this tree look a little bit bigger because it'll be thicker and bigger trunk in this small pot. Has some room to grow all directions. That one might be a possibility. I have this really neat oval that's probably the widest pot of all of my pots I was considering, and that kind of encompasses the tree pretty well. Got nice little legs down here. It's kind of like an old rustic look to it. I kind of like this one. I like that pot. I'm not sure how that tree's going to look in there quite yet, but boy, I sure like that. I want to get a tree in that pot for a while. I have a couple other options. I don't know if this one's going to work, but I thought I'd pull it out anyway. I got a very unique oval pot with a little bit of a bump here, this rib, this line here, this texture with big feet, kind of very soft though and oval. And I've got this round shaped tree, kind of a little bit. It wouldn't allow a lot of roots to grow back and front, but left and right. Might be a little bit too long for the tree, or not wide enough for the tree. Kind of a fun, unique pot. Not too many ovals that long and narrow. I don't know if I like that one as much as some of the other ones I've shown you. And I have two other pots that I was considering. So the first one is this one, a little bit more edgy to it. This has got a little bit more of a masculine feel to it. It's got the sharper corners and edges and shapes to it. It's a gray color. I don't have very many gray pots. My wife would like this one. She's a gray fan. And this is a little bit small though, maybe. I like the depth of the pot, but already the tree fills it out completely and overhangs a little bit. Of course, I would maybe trim this back in the spring and let it grow crazy in the summer, but I don't know if that one's quite big enough. Yeah, so that's a possibility. And then this last one's a little bit shallower, but a little bit more room to grow. And it's got some neat little texture to this one is too on top and bottom. Kind of a double-tiered leg right here, which comes up to the center. Could display this tree really, really nicely. And again, it's got kind of this brown, soft look. I don't know if you'd lose the trunk on that one too much. I do have it in wood right now, and you can see how the green kind of pops on this wood. This is a little bit more of a darker, kind of a mustard yellow. Really dark. It's not really yellow per se at all, but kind of that a muddy look to that yellowish beige, if you will. So those are the pots that I have to consider. So what to do? So I'm going to take a peek at those. I have to kind of look at these for a while, get a good glimpse of them, and we'll be back and let you know what I'm thinking about doing. For you, it'll be just a moment, but as I've tried to do, and I try to preach and do as I preach, we have to take our time and find the right match for this tree for right now. I've narrowed it down to 3 pots. This is that kind of earth tone one. As I look at that, not too bad. Although I think it matches might match that a little too much. This is the longer rectangle-y one. See how it's a darker pot so you can see the trunk better and then the foliage. So just comparing that one with that one, this and this get lost in the tree. And so that one of those two appears to be a better one. So this one goes out of contention. We'll put this one in the back. I've still considered this one, but I think I'm going to save the Sarah Rayner pot for a cascading style. Yeah, I don't like, I mean, the tree would get bigger in there and it might look good someday. I'm not sold by that one very much at all. And then here's the other one. So this one has a wider growing ability. All right. The problem with this pot is the color again almost matches the bark even better than that light earthier tone one. So that one or that one. I do like how that color is a little darker and it makes that trunk pop a little bit more. And though I like this pot and I thought this was my front runner, I'm a little questioning the pot if it's dark enough. You can see kind of, well, you're seeing this inside, which is lighter colored, maybe instead of the dark. So am I. Let me see if I can put a chopstick under here and make this sit even higher. Get that angle right for you and me to really look at it. That's better. I do like that round oval pot. I like the size of that pot. And the tree has some definitely growth to do. It's almost too wide and too long of it. Both these pots are a little bit too long. The tree will have some growing to do to catch up, but could grow for a number of years in either one of these two pots. So I'm trying to practice what I preach, take my time to make that decision. This one definitely more masculine, got that rectangle shape, not the oval, the more edgy kind of feet at the bottom with some texture down there. It is a darker pot, it's a little bit smaller pot. We got the rectangle shape with the tree that kind of does go left to right, but more of an oval shape. If you looked at it from the bird's eye view, it is going around oval this way. What to do? Don't be afraid to look at both sides of your pot. This one has a little bit more of that rusty color on this side, but maybe not as much on this side. Would that side be a little bit better? I'm still seeing the inside a little too much. There, does that hide the inside of that pot more? There we go. Tough decision. I like the oval better for the tree. The darker on the other pot just a little bit. But this pot is darker on the bottom, on the left and right side I should say, a little bit darker than the trunk. So the trunk still is visible. It kind of pops a little bit with this one, just a little bit more. Two very, very close colored pots, not very far away. When you see them side by side, they're not too different. I think I'm going to go with the oval pot. I'll be curious what everybody out there thinks. Make sure you send something at the end of this video. Tell me what you were thinking and why you were thinking that. It is time to start digging away a little bit. I do have some moss up here. We're going to pull that off first. We're going to add that to my collection of moss that is going to be used in my sphagnum moss. We'll put the moss in the sphagnum moss, and next spring I'll hopefully get some more growth. So knowing how much this tree has grown on the bottom, I'm going to be very careful because I'm already seeing roots that are growing over towards these little brush cherry ficus. So these trees were not wired in. They were just set in real gently. I'm going to go get some water to spray these roots. Got a little dry here. I want to make sure these are all in good shape. Trying to repot a tree and not disturb the other trees. And I can see the roots right here. They're already going way back to the back here. You can see right here, all the way back here. Look at that. They were growing all in these the surface of the brush cherry section. And there's more underneath growing that direction. I might disturb these ficus trees more than I wanted to. So my log as a pot has withstand a lot of Mother Nature here. And there we go. And you notice I can't pull it away. Look, it's moving these trees tremendously. So I don't want to disturb those trees very much. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut those. Go in there as far as I can. Cut some of those roots off. There we go. So there we have our massive growing through the screen sheetrock tape, holding those rocks in place but not stopping the root growth. All right, so we know we're going to cut those off. So there it goes. All of that long, wonderful growth is now gone. Okay, throw that away. All right, so we have pot, we have tree. Oh, and it's got plenty of room to grow. This pot could be, you know, teetering on that just a little bit too wide pot, but I like it. I'm going to go with it. Of all the pots that I looked at there, that's what stuck out to me the most. I am very curious about what you guys are going to say and what you thought you would do with the tree and why. And it's good to have those on there. It's good to have the whys from all the different perspectives. I'm a teacher by day, and one of the things I teach about is perspective taking. And you know, your different perspective is not wrong. My different perspective is not wrong. This is an art form, beauty in the eye of the beholder, you know, all that good stuff. So what's beautiful to me might not be as beautiful to you. And that is all right. So it's time to put some wire into the pot. We just need probably one. If I need a second one, I can go ahead and put that in there. Lightweight wire. And then we'll get these up. Nice and flat on the bottom. Time for some soil. So there we got a nice bit of really nicely sifted soil that we just re-sifted days ago. Remember, making us have something to do in the middle of when we don't think we have stuff to do. And now where to put the tree. So I noticed before when I was showing you the tree, you only saw this big old front branch back here, so you couldn't see that back one as much. So I thought I would twist it over a little bit more. We still have a little bit of a left to right lean on this, or left to right this way, right? because of the trunk and the way it flares out there at the bottom. So right here, we got some nice widening of the trunk here. Shows a little bit more age. And I still anticipate someday wiring these trees a little bit more, but that's still going to be the front of the tree. This front of the tree, we got this branch coming right at our face, not as attractive. We're going to keep this one right there. Okay, so I'm going to put it off a little bit to the right because of this big chunk over here. A little bit more in the back than the front. A little off from the center. And maybe even put a little rock in here or something for some texture. I think that looks pretty good right there. So I got to find out where these two are going to come together. I'm going to go ahead and get my roots to spread out a little bit more. There we go. Especially on this front now where I'm going to put this wire. Actually, I think I'm going to go on the back side. I do have a little bit thicker of a branch right here by my finger. That's going to make sure that we have something a little bit stronger to cling to. So I like that. We'll get those first couple of twists. I'll go ahead and cut off the extra right away. And then as we typically do with our repotting is we lift up and twist. Lift up that wire and twist so it's making it nice and tight. And the wire is not hopefully going into bulk mode and over itself. Shouldn't have grabbed my needle nose pliers, but it was the only one right here in front of me. Alright, let's take a peek at it before I go any further. Leaning a little bit more towards that camera that I like. Right there. It is holding it pretty good. Let me just get one more or two more little turns here. Tuck that down. There we go. Let's get some more soil on there. You see it's only wired down from left to right, not really front to back. I don't have holes in this pot to support that. I don't have a real deep pot. Still going to shake some of these air pockets out with little ones I might have. See that soil just kind of fall in there with the chopstick. When I do my tropical plants, this size tree and smaller, they're so small I typically don't wire them in. And when you water these trees, that water alone just starts to solidify everything. So I have a nice repotted Watermelon Seed Ficus. We'll give that some water and take a peek at that thing. There's a lot more pumice and akadama in this soil mix right now, I notice, so it's definitely a brighter soil. When I get some moss on here and some sphagnum moss, it'll lose some of that. It'll be a little bit darker on here, so it won't be so bright. But just certainly from that camera angle anyway. Brought the camera down a little bit so I wasn't looking down at the tree, but more at the tree. There you go. So we'll give it some water here. There's our spin. I will find a rock to put over here. I got plenty of rocks. And I'm going to give it some water here. So I have one of my big 1.5 gallon sprayers in here. And when I come in my plant room, I often mist my trees. I try to mist them now 2 times a day or more. When I'm here, I'm misting them so I can keep the humidity in the room a little bit higher. So I'm giving my trees a good mist. We want to water this really, really good. I don't have a towel right next to me, so when it starts to leak out just a little bit, I'll probably give it a stop. We'll go look for that rock and take a little cut in the editing. But there we go. We have our Watermelon Seed Ficus. It's really warm in my room right now. It's like 75 degrees. The humidity is pretty up there. So, you know, it's not a hot summer, middle of July day by any stretch, but it's not also 65 degrees and 20% humidity. So this tree, as you could see with all the roots, here comes the water. You could see all the root growth, all that long root growth. So that was doing just fine down here in the plant room, which just goes to show, even though this is kind of the quote-unquote dormant season, this tree was growing just fine down here with the conditions. I think these rocks might be a little too big. And I have these kind of really cool curvy rocks. Maybe I can just shove it in there like that. This one's probably too big. I might even need something smaller. I don't know. Does that take away from the tree? Well, for right now, we'll keep it. We'll keep the tree. We'll keep the rock. So there we have our Watermelon Seed Ficus. Get some sphagnum moss around that. I could even probably do that here in the next couple of weeks. Keep extra moisture in that bottom layer. But in my plant room, it's very, very controlled, so I won't have to worry about that. Before we can wrap it up for today, we've got to make room for our trees. Just when you thought you had your tree room organized the way you wanted it, you make a change like that. I got some movements to make. So now I got the tree in the back there, far enough away from this light. I don't think we're going to have any problems there. And let's get the new lawn up there. Where is this new one going to go? It's going to go right there. It fits nice at an angle. I'll get this big rock structure back up here again. Kind of fits back in there. Maybe this little one can go here. And I have this other really tiny one right here. There, that's kind of fun. We can put that there. There we go. So there, I got all but this guy back up. But I can put him over here, making all kinds of room for myself. Get this humidity tray guy back up here, right there in the new tree. 72 degrees, 60% humidity. And there we have our refurbished Ficus mini bonsai, Ficus tea, all kinds of tree forest back there. Looking good. There we have the new trees all taken care of. So not the greatest time of year to do the transplant, but sometimes we just got to do what we got to do. And that one I felt like we need to cut those long roots off and get it into that new pot, and we're good to go. I got a gnat flying right there in my room. How is that possible? Our update for today, we had our someone emailed in and said that these, what I keep calling the orange blossom specials, is a goldfish plant. And after I clipped these up and made them thinner, the tree has perked up. It's super straight up towards the light, and I even have one new bud even after all that trimming, and that one's going to be an orange blossom bud or a goldfish, whichever we'll go with there. Let's go with goldfish. It seemed more official. So the ones that I trimmed and cut down are doing really, really well. This was about 3 to 4 weeks ago maybe I did this cutting, and everything's real good. I got some little tiny buds that are shooting up right in here. Everything's healthy, and all that cutting I did didn't do any harm to this guy right here. Now this is a little bit more of a house plant, and so it's going to do just fine here in the plant room as always. There you have it, another edition of Dave's Bonsai. I'm Dave Weiss. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you let me know down there somewhere in one of those likes, or when you send out an email my way, or a message. Let me know which pot you would have gone with. Did you like the pot that I ended up going with? I put the rock on there. Yeah, we'll leave it for now. We're gonna let it grow. 73 degrees, now down to 58% humidity. Maybe it's time to spray the trees again. All right, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably gonna cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try and get rid of those air pockets.